So it's now been back-to-back years that the Raiders have selected a tight end with a premium pick. With the 36th pick in the draft last year, they selected Michael Mayer. And if you remember, it was actually a controversial pick when the Lions selected Sam Laporta over Michael Mayer. It looks great now because Laporta's been fantastic, but Mayer was considered the better prospect. So now the Raiders go out and they select Brock Bowers, largely due to he just fell that far, and why not take him? But I figured it could make for an interesting video to talk about, well, how do we view Michael Mayer? What are the upsides? And, now the fact that they're going to have two tight ends, what is that going to mean for the Raiders? Well, actually, it could be pretty interesting. So let's get into the film and talk about what he can still bring to the table for the Raiders, even though Brock Bowers might be tight end one on the depth chart at this point. Let's start off with a play like this. Let's start off with some passing first. So one thing I think he does a good job of is the kind of more traditional tight end types things. And I could see Brock Bowers be more of a unique tight end, kind of doing a lot of different stuff, whereas Mayer kind of fits the prototypical tight end, role of something like this. It's, run a play action and have Mayer run over the middle. That's the way this play is designed to work. When this play begins, you see the play action, works pretty well. There's a window for Garoppolo to hit Mayer, and you see Mayer doing a good job of getting to his soft spot in coverage and kind of, not running too much in one direction, kind of making sure he stays, where there's a big enough window for Garoppolo to hit him. So Garoppolo does make the throw. Mayer's able to make the grab. Good stuff by Mayer. Good stuff by the whole Raiders offense. It's one of those plays that Mayer tends to be the one who gets the credit because he was the receiver, but really everyone on the Raiders did a pretty good job. But that was still, one of those guys was Mayer who did a pretty good job at making that play work. Like this one's another one where it's, again, kind of a simple idea of zone coverage. You see him kind of just running underneath. That's the way to, more towards the bottom of the screen. That's the way this play is designed to work. So, you're going to have, this is Aiden O'Connell now flipping the ball to Mayer. And right here, gets towards the flat, working well so far. He accelerates past that Miami defender enough to get the first down. No super highlight reel level play, but again, that's fine. He'll give you the solid plays, which honestly for a tight end one, that's all you need. So certainly for a tight end two, he can do a lot of, it's pretty crazy that's what he'll be able to do. Not to mention, I do think there are other stuff he brings to the table, like something like this, for example. It's a man coverage concept, and there's several routes that are going to kind of intertwine with each other. So Mayer is the one who I've circled in white on this play, and watch how when this is Aiden O'Connell takes a snap, he actually looks towards his left first, but then eventually gets over towards Mayer, and Mayer isn't really open. There isn't a ton of separation. I mean, it's a one-on-one matchup in the end zone on a 3rd down and 4, so you certainly could throw it here if you want to. O'Connell says, sure, let's roll the dice, and look at what Michael Mayer is able to do. So again, for a tight end being able to do this stuff, it's pretty impressive. Certainly for a tight end two to be doing this stuff, and it's also worth mentioning, he's just a rookie. He was still just fully getting integrated into the offense. So year two, certainly should help out. But also, I think about Mayer's blocking. Like something like this, you see this one-on-one block. To me, this is interesting because, for Brock Bowers, I think Brock Bowers is a good blocker. They didn't draft Brock Bowers to be a blocker. They drafted him for what he does in the receiving game. So if you're going to run a lot of two tight end sets, that might mean more blocking for Mayer. But you see this situation. Watch how when it begins right here, gets the hand placement he wants, is going to kind of try to block that Charger player more towards the bottom of the screen at this point. And he's able to pull it off pretty well. And I do think that this is something that the Raiders really value. The Raiders want to be kind of a hard-nosed team. If you're going to do that, you got to run the ball a lot. And that's what I think they're going to attempt to do. And so having, two tight end sets makes it easier to run the ball a lot. Having a guy like Mayer who can block makes it easier to run the ball a lot. You also have a play like this where it's going to be, he's going to pull over towards the bottom of the screen. This is interesting as well, right? Which, again, if you have two tight end sets, it's totally possible we'll see more of this stuff of using your tight ends in different ways, having them move over and things like that you don't typically see from, tight ends, or at least don't see it as often from tight ends when you're not running as many multiple tight end sets. But anyway, watch what happens. O'Connell is going to hand the football off. You see Mayer is in position to make this block, and then watch how he makes it. I mean, really, he kind of made that look easy. So again, having him in there who can really do everything. If you're gonna have two tight end sets, you really kind of want a guy who can do everything. And really, they have two guys who can do everything. So that's what makes it really impressive. And don't get me wrong, I'm sure there will be, because of the Brock Bowers addition, there are going to be more snaps that a Mayer isn't out there for. When you don't want to have two tight ends out there, I'm assuming that Brock Bowers is going to be the guy you keep out there because I think he's a really good prospect. But for the Raiders, I think it's just really fascinating because having two guys like Mayer and Bowers, we've seen this happen before where, I think about the 49ers, for example, in the past few years, having Kittle and Kyle Juszczyk, two guys who are great blockers, but also can then go out wide and run routes, just makes it for a mismatch nightmare. If you're trying to stop the run, well, then you have to put enough guys out that can stop the run defensively. But then if you do that, well, then they can send them out wide and run some, passing plays and get yards that way. It can create a nightmare. I think about the New England Patriots when they won the Super Bowl the most recent time in 2018. They were, that was kind of a very similar thing. They had a very good fullback and they had Rob Gronkowski. Of course, the Patriots had Rob Gronkowski and Aaron Hernandez, who were two very good tight ends. And at the end of the day, having two good players on the field is helpful. So I especially think it helps when you have someone like Mayer and Bowers. You don't need to put them both it's not like how you see some situations where here's the good blocking tight end and here's the good receiving tight end, and when we're going to pass it, we put the good receiving tight end out, because then it's like, okay, you kind of know what's happening, and guys kind of have to do what they have to do. Having guys like Bowers and Mayer just opens up the playbook and makes it easier to deceive your opponents. It makes it easier to, have them think, okay, a passing play is coming because, Bowers is out wide or something like that, or Mayer is out wide, but then you're having Bowers block, or, okay, this is clearly going to be a rushing play, but then you can still have Mayer, be a receiver like you saw with the first play I showed you. So it just opens up the playbook in a very real way of having someone like Michael Mayer. I guess, I've talked a lot about Michael Mayer and what he, what the two tight end set means against the football team. I could talk more about just him as a player. I didn't think he was a dominant rookie or anything like that. I wasn't like, oh my God, this guy is lighting the world on fire, which is part of why I think the Raiders felt okay about still drafting another tight end, even though they just drafted one. But I don't think that this is the kind of thing at all where they're like, well, we just need an upgrade at tight end. That's not happening. They don't need an upgrade at tight end. He was a pretty effective tight end last year for them as a rookie. And again, Sam Laporta's are weird. Usually tight ends don't come in and play great in year one. Usually it takes time to develop. So there's plenty of reason to believe Michael Mayer could end up being a really good player for the Raiders, and they could have a great tight end tandem for years to come, potentially. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see on exactly what happens there. But it should be interesting to watch and should be an effective strategy for them. But those are my thoughts on the Raiders and Michael Mayer. What are your thoughts? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from you. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.